Villains are fantastic. You can sympathize with them, you can fear them, you can both love and hate them. My personal favorite type of villain is one that can counter the protagonist. A good example, Ramses from The Prince of Egypt, or maybe Adachi from Persona 4. But while we're on the topic of Persona, I would like to talk about two villains from the series. One of them is incredibly underrated and a villain that I consider to be one of the best, and the other one is a villain that I honestly could not give less of a shit about. I'm going to be talking about Masayoshi Shido from Persona 5 and Akria Konoe from Persona 5 Strikers. The idea for this video was borrowed by YouTuber Schaeferless Productions. I suggest you check out his videos, he makes really good stuff. With that being said, my name is Aniki, and let's begin. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, spoiler warning for Persona 5 and Persona 5 Strikers. Shido is not a good villain in my humble opinion. And it really sucks considering that he's the main villain besides Yaldabaoth. So what exactly is my problem with him? Well, I'll explain it. But first, let me explain a few things that I like in an antagonist or villain. Also, by the way, take a shot every time I say the word villain in this video, you'll probably end up dead. Anyways, for me personally, I have 3 things that make a villain good. An understandable motive, intimidation, and how they counter the protagonist. For me personally, these are the most important qualities in a villain. There are of course other things, but these are my personal favorites. Remember the 2 villains I brought up earlier, Ramses and Adachi? How did they fit into my 3 points? What's Ramses' motive? He wants to prove to his father and to himself that he's a great leader, even if it means he has to enslave his brother's people. Now, is he intimidating? Hell yeah. Take the 12 plague scene for example. Look at him, he doesn't even flinch upon seeing his city burn and still remains strong on his beliefs. And how does he counter the protagonist? Come on, do I even have to say it? Come on. Even as a child, I could figure it out myself. You can definitely figure it out. Now let's talk about Adachi. What's his motive? Well, it's kind of debatable, but for me personally, I feel like it's because he hated everything in his life. He felt like his life was worthless and he wanted to feel joy. Now, is he intimidating? Well, he was able to manipulate and trick the entire investigation team, Namatame, and a shit ton of police officers, so yeah, I'd say he's pretty good. And in my opinion, personally, I say that he's an amazing counter to the investigation team. While the IT are enjoying themselves, embracing each other's company, and just loving life, Adachi is the complete opposite. He hates life and he feels alone. Hell, Adachi himself even says,
"But maybe if I had been more like you, things wouldn't have gone this way."
Anyways, now what about Shido? Well, Shido kinda does the last 2 things. He's a good counter to the protagonist since he literally stands for a controlled society as opposed to the fantasies wanting to liberate the people and give them strength to stand on their own 2 feet. And he's pretty damn intimidating considering how much he manipulates in his favor. And I mean, just look at him. However, now we get to his motivation. And this, in my opinion, is where Shido falls flat. See, a good motivation is very important when it comes to villains like Shido. We don't necessarily have to agree with these villains, but we do need to understand where they are coming from, why they do what they do. Now, tell me, right off the top of your head, without doing any research, why does Shido do what he does? Oh, you can't remember? Well, I'm sure it's here in the wiki. Oh, look, nothing. Nothing in this damn wiki tells me a thing about his motivation. Hey, Aniki from Post over here. I made a small little mistake. There is actually an explanation for why Shido does what he does, and it's right over here. But even this explanation over here is not very sufficient in my opinion, so I don't really like it. I've been writing this script, and the more I've been thinking about it, the more I've realized the problem I have with Shido. Masayoshi Shido is not a villain. He's a monster. And that's not a good thing. Do you remember the old fairy tale, Free Billy Goat Gruff? 3 goats want some grass, so they need to get to the other side of the bridge. But oh no, there's a troll on the bridge and he does not want them to cross. But one question. Why is the troll trying to stop them anyway? In some interpretations, it said that he wants to eat the goats, but then why didn't he just leave the bridge and go after the goats on their side? Answer, don't think about it. It's a fairy tale, for goodness sakes, not a George Orwell book, who cares?
This is like George Orwell's book, 1984.
The troll exists to be an antagonist to the protagonist. He serves no other purpose. Now this is perfectly fine in a children's story, and certain villains don't really need that because we're not supposed to take them seriously. But not only are we supposed to take Shido seriously because he's one of the main villains, but he's also the cause of a lot of problems in this game, including, but not limited to, attempted sexual assault, falsely accusing a teenager of assault ruining his life, association with a mob leader, association with a fucking Yakuza, using his son to kill people, planning on killing said son after he served his purpose, stealing research, and these are just the things that I can remember. Who knows what else I forgot, but my opinion still stands. The issue here is obvious. Atlas was so focused on showing us that Shido is evil, but they forgot to show us why he's evil. Why is he doing all of this? Where did he get these terrible ideologies from? Is there anyone he's trying to please? Anything he's trying to prove? Is he miserable and looking for an outlet? The game never explains it to us. As such, Shido doesn't feel real. He's not a villain. He's not an antagonist. He's an obstacle, and that's the problem with Masayoshi Shido. He's an obstacle and nothing else. So how would I fix Shido? Well, it's simple. Chill out with making him the devil incarnate. Make him more of a person. Why does Shido hate Akechi? Apparently he reminds him of the woman he banged. We give him a natural reason. Maybe Shido was rehearsing for a speech and baby Akechi destroyed his script that he was going to use for a speech, causing him to look like a fool because he can't remember any of his lines. Maybe we could actually see some of the shitty parts of Japan that make Shido's ideas feel more justified. In fact, it would make Shido a man with such conviction that he's going to team up with mob bosses and the Yakuza just to win. It wouldn't make him perfect. It would make him feel more real than whatever he is now. To put it simply, I want a Shido that we don't agree with but we understand. I want a Shido with a strong motive. I want a Shido who does terrible things but thinks he's doing it for the right reasons. I want a Shido like him. Akria Konoe is everything Shido should have been. I'm going to be completely honest. Konoe is such a good villain that he even rivals Adachi as my personal favourite. I was even considering making an entire video about him. So what's Konoe's plan? Well, he wants to use his smartphone assistant Cortana, Emma, to basically create a world where everyone has to do what they're told. Basically, everyone becomes zombies that are incapable of any self-thought, which in turn would stop people from committing crimes and hurting other people. I could make a political joke here, but nah. This sounds pretty damn cruel. And just like Shido, it counters the Phantom Thief's beliefs of wanting to free the people. And just like Shido, he's rather manipulative and knows how to control the people. But you see, here's the difference. Whereas Shido fell flat on his face on the runway, Konoe fucking soared. And he soared because of one simple thing. An understandable motive. So when we get access to Konoe's cage in his dungeon, we find out that he grew up in a terribly abusive household. His father killed his mother for money and constantly abused him physically and mentally. The only salvation he had was a TV show called Zeppelin. He admired the titular character and hoped one day a hero like him would come and save him. As his father's abuse became more rampant and he started threatening to kill his own son, Akira knew that he had to become his own hero, and he killed his father in self-defense.
It's up to me. I have to become stronger. I have to. I will kill him, and then I'll be the hero.
Wow. That alone would make Konoe a pretty damn good villain. Not only do we see that he has a reason for doing what he does, but he also has something that he loves/admires, the superhero Zeppelin. This makes Konoe feel real and easier to relate to because we ourselves as humans have things that we care about and things that inspire us. I could honestly stop talking here, but this is just one of the many things that make him great. Remember how Shido would constantly team up with shitty people? Well, Konoe does too. He teams up with this politician whose name I can't remember because he has like 5 minutes of screen time, and helps him out. The difference is we see how Konoe actually feels about him. He hates him and believes that he stands for everything that he hates about society.
Call ended.
Filth, flapping those fat jowls of his. Roaches like him are the very reason why this world needs someone to enact justice.
You are absolutely right, Akira.
From this, we can assume that Konoe believes the ends justify the means. This is why he has no issue endangering Akane just to stop the Phantom Thieves. It's similar to how Shido got the protagonist arrested, but instead of doing it for himself, he's doing it for what he believes is the right thing. Anarchy from Post again. I just want to quickly point out that there's another thing I forgot to talk about when I originally recorded all this audio and wrote the script, and that is Konoe actually doesn't even want to kill the Phantom Thieves. Like, back over at this scene over here, you can actually see that Konoe says this.
The Phantom Thieves are still under confinement.
Very well. And just so we're clear, there's no way to change their hearts. Is that correct?
That is correct, Akira. It is impossible.
Well, if you say so, it must be. We'll just have to let them rot, won't we?
And from this, we can assume that Konoe doesn't even want to actually kill the Phantom Thieves, which just adds an extra layer of depth to him. It shows that, again, he's only doing what he thinks is necessary. Okay, now I think Konoe is a great villain. He does what he thinks is right no matter the consequences. Surely he can't get any better than this. Right? Guys, let me show you the scene. The scene that took Akira Konoe from being a great villain to being one of my personal favorite Persona villains. So like most boss fights, before you start your boss fight with Konoe, you have a bit of a conversation with him. And like most of the other ones, it's nothing really too important to start off with. Very much starts off with the cliche, you and I are so different line, and the defense feature like shut your goofy ass up, and then he starts talking about his plan, pretty basic stuff. But then, he says something that hit me like a truck when I heard it for the first time, when I was playing Strikers. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is the line that changed Konoe from just being an okay villain to being one of my personal favorites.
Then do you believe you could have saved me?
Huh?
Let's say you had been around back then. Could you have saved me from my father? I had nowhere to run. I was just a scared, helpless child left to suffer by himself. Well, could you really have saved me? Even now, there are surely others being brought up in the same hell that I was, and yet you've done nothing to help them.
Well, that's...
You only destroy the evils you just happen to come across, but you'll never save everyone. Me, however, I have the power to change the entire world. No one will ever have to suffer as I did ever again. And to do that, you need something beyond what the Phantom Thieves can offer. You need more than some childish heroic fantasy.
Good God, man. When I heard that shit, I just had to stop playing for a second and just like, damn. Okay, first of all, George Eccles, good fucking job, dude. The way your voice broke down when he's
Child left to suffer by himself. Well, could you really have saved me?
And I felt that, like, goodness, dude, fantastic job. Oh man. And it was at this point where I completely understood Konoe to the extent where I somewhat even agreed with him. Because to be honest, I actually thought the exact same thing when I was playing the original Persona 5. We only stopped the evils we just happened to come across. I mean, yeah, we stopped Kamoshida, but how many more Kamoshidas are out there? How many more people are being preyed upon? How many more people are being extorted? It's a painful reality in our real world too, and it brings into question the idea of freedom versus security. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit off script over here and just mention some other things I want to talk about, and that's mainly I just want to mention how the game never directly counters what Akira says over here. Like, the characters never truly directly point out the fact that what Akira said there was kind of true, like how they only truly dissolve the evils that they come across, because even they, to an extent, know that what he's saying is true. Like, obviously they don't agree with his message, they don't agree with what he's trying to do, they don't like what he's trying to do, but at the same time they can't fully disprove his ideologies. They know that to an extent what Akira is saying and what he's proposing, it's painfully true. They know that to an extent they can't stop every single evil in the world, and if Konoe's plan was successful, he kind of would have. He technically would have stopped all true evil going on in the world, but for the expense of people's freedoms, and like it's a painfully true thing. It's a painfully true thing that I and a lot of people have honestly thought about, like the question of, would you rather be free or would you rather be safe? Would you rather have your own life or have your life dictated by others? And it's something that I've thought about a lot in my own life. It's something that I've always been thinking about to an extent, and I know the answer. I learned the answer myself, and to be honest, if there's anything you're gonna collect from this video, if there's anything you're just gonna figure out and go home with, just figure out what you want in life. Figure out if you'd rather have freedom and security. That's honestly all I really have to say. Sorry about this uneducated tangent, this spewing tangent. Just live your best life. That's all I can really tell you. Just do your best, live your best life, know what you want, and go for it. Geez, sorry for getting all heavy and shit. Anyway, Akira Konoe is a fantastic villain because he feels real. His ambition to create a better world feels real. His backstory feels real. His ambition to create a better world, no matter the sacrifices, feels real.
Anymore. But kidnapping children? I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die.
And his belief that security is better and more essential than freedom is most certainly a real belief that some people have. And that is what makes Akira amazing. The fact that anytime I'm on the bus or the train, I could be sitting next to a man who has similar beliefs to Akira. And that is amazing. Akira Konoe is not a monster. He's a villain.
Which I'm afraid is even worse.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I quite enjoyed making it, actually. So, let me just get a few things out of the way first. I've been thinking about making this video for a year, and I'm very happy that I was finally able to gain the courage to put it out there, and I hope you guys like it. I really do. Anyways, a few new updates. I recently got a Letterboxd account. Name's Anarchy, of course, no surprise there. And I'm reviewing a couple of movies there, so if there's a movie that you want to see me review, but I don't have the time to, or I don't just have the passion or the will to right now, then I've most likely reviewed it on Letterboxd, so go ahead and check it out. Honestly, that's really about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you losers.